Hey everyone, it's Hunter, and if you know me, I have been planning to study abroad for like 3 years now. It is something I have wanted to do since the very beginning of high school, and I am on the very precipice of getting able to do so. I'm about 80 days out from leaving, and it has been such a long process to get here, and I have wanted to talk about it, getting more into travel vlogging on YouTube, and I hope you support me on that journey. But what this video is I have gathered a list of 12 things that are essential and important tips and things you need to do before you decide to take that leap and just travel abroad. And this video will be probably a little bit long, but it's gonna be full of vital information for you if you are looking to study abroad during college. First things first, you want to make sure you are picking the right university or program for you. In my case, I had an idea of what program I wanted to do in high school, and I was lucky because my high school counselor actually recommended this program because she had done it herself in the past, and I have heard great things about it. Another bonus is this is one of the closest colleges to my house, and it has a major that kind of lines up with the things I wanted to do, which is a major called Stage and Screen, and I wanted to do film. Anyway, if you have a country that you really want to go to, make sure the college you're picking or the program you're picking offers that country. And some programs just might not be the right pick for you. Like, some might be only a couple weeks long, some might be a whole semester, some might be a year. These are the sorts of things you need to think about. My program, and the reason I was so drawn to it and the reason I picked it in high school and made it my desire from the get-go, is because my program actually allows its students to live a semester abroad in UK, which is where I wanted to go, and on top of all of that, we get to live in a converted castle, more or less. I get to live in a castle for 4 months, which is why you should subscribe, because this channel is gonna have crazy content in the fall. We're gonna be in this beautiful little outcropping of Edinburgh, and I'm so excited to share all of that with the world. Moving right along to number 2, do not decide that you want to study abroad late. And I know this might be hard because of money or not being able to wrap your mind around actually wanting to spend a lot of time abroad and away from your family or your friends, but don't leave studying abroad to your junior or senior year, because in college you have to get a certain amount of credits to complete your degree, and most college study abroad trips have specified classes, and you can't pick your classes from your college to bring over there. You have to follow the courses that the study abroad program has laid out. So for me, I'm going abroad in my sophomore and a half year because I'm ahead in college, and I am lucky, so I don't really have to care about the credits. The ones my program are offering are mostly generals and a mix of Scottish history, which is fine for me. However, I want, if possible, to study abroad again in the future, and for that one, I'm going to have to select the only one my school has, which is a film specific one. You have to have these things planned out ahead, because sometimes they just won't fit into your schedule later on in your degree audit and you just can't go, which is the worst. Number 3. Even though this kind of falls into the other things, make sure to pick a country that you love and you're passionate about and you want to explore. Picking a country that you don't find that particularly interesting or you're not interested in the culture, it kind of defeats the point. Also remember, this ties into language. A lot of countries are barred based off of language perimeters, and your college program won't let you go unless you already show some proficiency in whatever country spoken language that is. I know quite a bit of Spanish, but I didn't particularly want to go to a Spanish-speaking country. There is Spain, of course, in Europe, which is where I wanted to go, but the Spanish is different, and I was not trained in that because my high school Spanish classes did not have Spanish taught. It was just college. So that you have to keep in mind what you're capable of doing while abroad, so you don't get yourself into a situation that is extremely uncomfortable or in a place where you have to come back home early, because that would not be good. You're paying a lot of money for these trips typically, and you want to enjoy your time there. Number 4. And this is where we're starting to get into the tips that are actually vital to the trip itself. Apply and get approved into your program. These programs, they run you through the ringer, and it's good they do so because they're sending a bunch of young adults across the world and they have to make sure they don't die. Mine was supposed to happen in the spring, but COVID happened, so other circumstances could happen. It can get pushed back. So me and my roommates' funds actually got rolled over into the fall, so we didn't have to pay it twice. But we did have to pay for expedited passports, which I'll get into in the next one. But you just want to make sure you get enrolled and involved on campus as much as possible. Most universities have a international abroad office, and that is where you're going to want to go. And if you don't know what you want to do, where you want to go, contact the office and just tell them you're interested and schedule an appointment to sit down with someone and really talk about what you want out of the program and where you want to go, because they hopefully will be nice and will help you on your journey. My university also specifically had this whole long checklist of things you had to complete before you were even approved, including down payments and office payments and pre-scheduling and all of that fun stuff. So just make sure you do everything. Once you are approved for that program, or before in the middle process, technically this is 4 and 5 should be done at the same time. We'll preface with that. 5 is apply, if you don't already, especially if you're American, because a lot of Americans don't have them. Apply for your passport, and remember, it's going to take, unless you expedite it, which will get you about a month to 2 months, it's going to take at least 3 months. So apply for your passport. It's gonna be a little expensive, but you just gotta do it, and then it lasts for like 8 years, so it's totally worth it because your passport is vital. It lets you see the world. Along with the passport process, make sure that you get any documents you are required to have and any vaccinations you need to enter your specific country. On top of that, make sure to be up to date on all the COVID restrictions and get your COVID vaxes. Something I didn't know going into passports is most of your local mailing facilities in your towns, at least in the USA, will have some sort of system set up to help you with passports. You can usually get forms for passports there if you can't print them up at your house, and just make sure you don't make any mistakes on those, and if you do, just fill out another form. If you're going to pick up forms, I suggest taking 2 or 3. I messed mine up twice, and then I had a whole scheduling conflict with getting passport photos taken. It was a whole ordeal. That was probably the messiest process of this whole thing so far. As I think I mentioned briefly before, we had a thing with COVID rollovers where we had to pay for expedited passports, and then we didn't get to use them. So we basically had to give them, I think, $150, and I just lost $150, me and my roommate. That was probably the worst part of this entire experience so far, was losing that money. Coming off of that, number 6, and number 6 can really go anywhere in the front half of this list. Before registration closes, obviously, try to convince a friend to go with you. I know it's a hard ask, it's a tough pitch because of the monetary aspects of doing something like this, but having a friend to go with you on your trips will just make your trip that much more special. I have been planning this whole thing with my roommate. Halfway through, one of our friends in our friend group decided he wanted to come along too, and then someone from my major is also going who I know a little bit. So I'm just so excited to go and see the world, something I wanted to do for so long and I'm so passionate about. I'm so excited to do that with close friends who I'll get to have those memories with forever. And here is the real thing you need to know about going with friends. It makes everything cheaper because you can split the costs. It's amazing. Public transportation may be much better in Europe, but it's still pricey. And we can split those fees amongst 2 to 4 people. It just lowers it so much. Same with hostels, or if you want to get hotels, especially for that first night, if you need a layover night to house all of your baggage, your expensive equipment. I just recommend getting a hotel sometimes over a hostel, even though hostels can be a great price. We'll see if I have the same opinions later. I'm sure I'll have a video on that at some point. Convince a friend to come with, because hopefully, as long as everything goes well and you don't have any falling outs while abroad, it will just make your experience that much more fun and more affordable. Number 7, once you are approved and you are getting ready and you are excited to go abroad, do all of the boring stuff and get it done. This includes, but is not limited to, contact your college's housing department. Make sure you are not living on campus and not paying those fees for the next year, but so sometimes they will make you sign up anyways and then cancel later once your trip has been confirmed, because sometimes those things are staggered. So make sure your housing department knows what you're doing. Second of all, make sure your parking department knows what you're doing. Don't pay those extra fees if you don't have to. Make sure you sign up for those classes and drop them later, because that's how my college is making us do it for some reason. So if that's a thing, make sure you ask. If you have your abroad courses pre-planned out and your college is handling that for you. I had to sign up for abroad courses and on-campus courses. I am still signed up for the on-campus courses, and I will drop them, I think, 2 weeks out from leaving, just so they have us backup enrolled in case something happens here. For example, a COVID closure, which at this point, God, I hope that doesn't happen. We all do. Number 8. Plane tickets. I don't know about you. I think most Americans have been on a plane at some point in their life. I have not. Kind of scared, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine, hopefully. Because they are expensive. Anytime you are crossing that Atlantic Ocean, it will be pricey. Our tickets ended up being like $1,200 or $1,500. I don't know, it's a lot. The main ticket, the round trip ticket there and back will be your like main expense outside of tuition, obviously. And it's not covered with our tuition program. So here's a little story about how this is working for us. We wanted to stay a week longer and possibly go to Greece or Rome or somewhere else. We haven't decided yet because this will be mid-December, so it's a ways out. But we looked for hours upon hours about how to book plane tickets because of pricing, and the way round trip tickets work is it's just cheaper by usually hundreds of dollars to just book a round trip ticket. And tickets within Europe are a lot cheaper, and we're really hoping this works out. I'll probably update on this sometime in the future if you want more information on this down the road. But if you want to book your ticket, book the round trip ticket and maybe just extend it. So what we're doing is we booked our Scotland ticket an extra week out, and within that week we are going to fly from Scotland to wherever in Europe, back to Scotland, and then our round trip ticket will still be there, and then we will take that ticket back home to America. So that's how we're doing it. We're hoping it works out that way, but whatever you're doing, make sure you plan your plane tickets accordingly and you prep, because it's a big expense and you want to make sure you're doing it the best way you possibly can. On that same note, for our next one on the list, book accommodations early. There is this thing when you're traveling abroad, especially in Europe, called low season and shoulder season, and then there's peak season, which is also called high season. These two are periods of time in Europe where they receive less tourists, and because there are less tourists and less demand, the prices are cheaper. For us, luckily, a lot of our traveling is going to be in October and December. These are in that shoulder and low season period, and because of that, prices are lower. They're still not great, but they are definitely a couple $100s cheaper for, say, if you do plan on getting hotels over hostels. You save a lot of money doing this, especially if you're splitting it with friends. Transportation is another thing you need to worry about. Make sure you just do a basic Google about what the main means of transportation are between the major cities that you want to hit. We have a plan, hopefully it works out, to hit Copenhagen, Oslo, and Stockholm, and getting between those, there are trains, I believe, but we are probably going to take flights between all three of them, just because it ends up actually being cheaper to take flights, even though we have to deal with airport security, which I've never been on a plane. I don't know what to expect, honestly. Price-wise, it seems like it's gonna be cheaper doing it that way. Also, make sure to factor in things like food in the different locations you want to see. A lot of things are open to the public in Europe, but not everything, and I don't really know about Asia or other countries, so just factor in all the prices. Make a spreadsheet. I am personally a huge fan of spreadsheets. I am 100% the planner of my group. And yeah, I have like 7 Google Doc spreadsheets about everything we are doing. It's fun. This is kind of where I am and my point. I've done a little bit of the last step of this already, but you'll see what that is. The last part of this list are just things you need to make sure you get done before you leave. Get all of your checkups and appointments done before you leave so you don't have to worry about getting them abroad in case something goes wrong, in which case go and do it obviously, but make sure you can get things addressed before you leave. For example, go to your yearly doctor, dentist, and eye appointments if need be. Also chiropractors maybe, depending on the type of person you are or the type of body you have. Tip number 11 is make sure you let your insurance company, your credit card companies, or your bank, and your phone company know before you go abroad. Some of these things can cause you charges or extra fees when you go abroad. Some of these things won't work when you're abroad. If it's something like, there's multiple aspects of insurance, obviously. If it's something like car insurance and you're going abroad for multiple months, you could cancel your car insurance to save that money, which could be a fun extra little bit of money in your pocket. Just make sure to get it back when you come back to the States or wherever you're coming back to. Credit cards and debit cards, banks. Some of these places will close down your cards and not let them begin transactions abroad because they mark it as unknown activity. So just let your bank know that you are going to be abroad and that those purchases are being made by you. Another note for insurance is maybe look into travel insurance or baggage insurance or however that works. I don't know, but I know it's a thing just to secure yourself while you're abroad. And then the biggest thing with phones is that remember you're probably going to need a different SIM card for your phone when you're abroad. Look up where you can buy SIM cards and maybe try to find someone that can help you when you're there to make sure you can use your phone and have a different plan while you're over there, because most US companies charge you an exorbitant fee for using your data. It can be upwards of $10 a day, and if you were there for 4 months, that's over $1,000 just to use your phone abroad, which is absurd, so don't fall into that trap. Last on my list here is everything to do with baggage, luggage, tagging, and everything in between. Everything prepped at least bare minimum people, 2 weeks in advance. I have been working in this for a month and I still have like 2.5 months to go before I leave. Buy luggage tags early, buy a passport holder if you want one, make sure everything fits. I've done 2 whoa, that's a tongue twister. I've done 2 test prep packing sessions already where I just try to fit all my large items into my suitcase. Also, make sure you look up TSA guidelines for the size of the things you can be bringing onto the plane with you. I'm going through a whole mental breakdown about getting my camera bag through security, which if you're bringing a camera abroad, make sure you look into those restrictions because there are things about that you need to know. For example, you can't bring most camera batteries into a checked bag. They have to come with you into where you sit on the plane. In addition to this, make an itinerary for your first week abroad. If you're going to be abroad for a while, obviously you can't plan that whole thing ahead. You just can't. Make a list of places you want to go. I have a massive master list. Like, we might touch a 10th of it. It's to that point. I think we have like 500 things on a list of things in like 5 countries we want to do at some point. But point in case, that first week abroad is when you're going to be struggling. So make sure you just make sure you are actually going abroad and learning something. I have like 2 or 3 Scottish history courses I'm going to take and I'm so excited. Okay guys, well I think that is all for me for now. Stay tuned for all the lovely adventures we're going to be going on together. I look forward to sharing life with you over the rest of this year and into next year. And thank you so much for watching. Subscribe up here and check out a video over here. I would love if you would stick around. Thank you very much and have a lovely rest of your day.